Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm here with James from TFBtv, and we've done some traveling together. We've spent some time together, at various events. We just got back from the NRA where we did the TGC panel, but we've also spent some time in Slovenia, and we've had plenty of opportunity to talk. And one of the things I found interesting about James's interest in firearms, and this is what's really cool about the firearms community as a whole, is that everybody has something that they're interested in, right? And so for me, my passion lies with the old firearms, and for you...
Oh, I hate old guns. I know, I'm the freak. I'm the freak here. You know, and I said that at the panel yesterday, and literally there's 600 NRA members ready to throw me out the window when I said I hate old guns. I see guns as tools. Yeah. I'm not like a heritage guy, whatever. Look, I get it. I get that other people are into them. I'm not against that. If you're into old guns, I actually think it's cool as hell that you're into old guns. Yeah. I just hate them. They're just not practical. I treat my guns like garbage. I don't want to preserve this fine wood grain, and do you wipe that with pledge? I don't know. I don't know how to take care of them. I mean, if you look at that thing like with a teary eye, is it going to start rusting? I mean, I like stuff like this, You're not going to have to worry about rust. You don't have to worry about reliability. You don't have to worry, if you break it, screw it, buy another one. That's what I like. I see them as tools. I hate old guns.
So I would say when I started my interest in firearms back many, many years ago, I was interested in the modern stuff. I really, really, really wanted an AR-15. Try to keep a long story short, I was at a fair, a place called Worlds of Fun in Missouri, and it was Armed Forces Day. They had a guardsman there, had an old Jeep, and on the hood had an M14 and an M16. And I remember picking that M16 up and looking at it and looking down at how thin it was and how light it was, and I was just blown away by it. Like, man, this is the ultimate in modern technology, right? And I had to have an AR-15 from that point on. Mm-hmm. And so my interest was only in the modern stuff. But as I got older and I got all the modern stuff, I've shot all the modern stuff to the point where I don't really care about the latest muzzle device for an AR-15. I don't really care that somebody put, shark's teeth on the front of a magwell or skulls, right? It's just, it's
gotten ridiculous.
Interest, right?
Yeah.
And so I've lost that interest. And so over the years, and it started many years ago, I wanted to learn, okay, so I love the AR-15. Well, where did that come from? And I started learning about direct gas impingement, and Eugene Stoner didn't invent it. And it was developed around the turn of the century, and the French had come up with it. And all this stuff, I'm like, wow, that's really cool, man. Because a lot of times you take technology for granted. And so that's how my interest in the old guns came to be, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to know where that started. And that's why I've picked these two guns for us to talk about this afternoon.
Yeah, that is kind of funny. Like, we were looking, and God, your collection, I have to say, enviable. I mean, I was green with envy when I saw Tim's gun safe, and it's like a gun room. It's like a gun house, is what it is. It's a house made of guns. There are people living in New York City in studios that are smaller than where you keep your guns. But anyways, so I just had to make that comment. But yeah, we were looking at them.
But there's a lot more wood in there than you probably would care for.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I remember, there's a lot of wood in there.
So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and one of the things we kind of joked about when we were traveling, I said, I'd really love to have you out here, and I'd love to give you the opportunity to shoot one of my favorites. And this is something you guys haven't seen on the channel before. This is an FG42. This is a replica. This isn't a real one. And this one's made by SMG out of Texas, right? So you got to show them some love.
Right, sure.
And because Texas is just a great state.
Oh, yeah.
And the gun is a replica of the FG42, which is a paratrooper rifle that was developed by Germany during the Second World War and really is forward thinking. And that's what we're going to get into in this video is kind of, you may not know this by looking at the two guns, but first of all, this firearm was way ahead of its time and really segued into what is basically the most modern of the big bore bullpups.
Yeah. The Tavor
7.
Yeah.
So in case you guys don't know what that is, why don't you tell the guys what you're actually holding there?
I mean, yeah, you've got the Tavor. I think everybody's familiar with the Tavor, Israeli, made by IWI. It's a bullpup, and this is the 7.62 NATO version. And what's really neat about this, and again, I like the advancement. I like it because we're all familiar with the first Tavors that came over to the United States, 5.56, 223, and they updated the Tavor 7. Everything is ambidextrous, and it's actually, I hate to plug my own channel, but we did a really cool video January 2018, when they announced the Tavor 7, and they go over, I think it may have been Jeremy at IWI, went over all the features, and it was so neat. I saw it and I was like, wow, that's brilliant. Yeah. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. You know, just all the, so I love the Tavor 7, and if I had to go with a big bore bullpup, this would be my choice.
And the interesting thing about the Tavor 7, guys, is it's not currently on the market. So if you're going to ask us what MSRP is and where you can get it, the whole reason I have the Tavor 7 is because I've been testing it for IWI. We've been running different ammunition through it, you know, doing accuracy tests, doing reliability tests, and just seeing how the gun runs and giving our feedback to them so they can, you know, ultimately get this gun to market, which they're actively doing. And hopefully we'll see that thing here soon on the market. So anyway, let's load up some magazines. We're going to talk a little bit about the FG42 here, talk a little bit about the Tavor 7. I'll talk about how they're kind of sort of related, and yeah, just some fun stuff. And get ready to have your teeth rattled, man, because the muzzle device on this thing is ferocious.
Are you going to put the ACOG on that one? Is that?
Oh, now stop. So it has an optics mount here on the top. If I had a car, I could trade for the scope that actually fit on this.
Old guns, old guns. There you go. How much would that mount cost? Just tell me.
I don't even know. I've searched and searched and searched. I saw one on some rare, obscure collector site, and I want to say it was $20,000 or something crazy for an original optic for one of these.
Old guns.
Yeah, but they're good investments. All right, guys, let's load up some magazines, have some fun.
The modern conveniences associated with new guns. You have straight insert Magpul PMag magazines. You've got a very easy to use push button ambidextrous magazine release. You've got a swappable ambi charging handle, full length Picatinny rail, way better than a stupid old gun. And even though you're talking about a 308, handles like a dream.
I get James's affinity for modern firearms and firearms like the bullpup. If you guys watch the channel, you know I'm a huge fan of bullpup rifles, and I've been a fan of the Tavor long before we could even get them here in the United States. When I was envious of the Canucks and their Tavors or SARs they had north of us, and I was tempted to run across the border, and if you're an ATF agent, please put your fingers in your ears and go, no, 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 right now, and grab one and bring it back, just because I wanted one so badly. And so I've always been a fan of this particular rifle, so seeing it evolve into a 308 definitely is of interest to me. But what's of more interest to me is how do we get here, okay? So yes, I would take this as a survival rifle, hunting rifle, defensive rifle, whatever modern day rifle. Not necessarily the guns I'm about to talk to you about. Difference, right? I get that. But when I want to go out and have a good time at the range, while that's fun, this is more fun. Now the rifle I'm holding in my hands right now, this is a K98. This one was set up as a DMR, and it has a ZF41 scope on it, which is on a quick detach mount. And the Germans built these to increase hit probability for just their standard troops. So it has this little tiny scope with a long pistol length eye relief on it, and it's adjustable for range in meters. And although it wasn't well received, it was quite innovative, and it was the standard infantry rifle, the rifle itself, not necessarily the ZF41 scope, of the German army, the 98K, K carbine, short version of the original 98 they fought the First World War with. It was shortened. So there's a point to all this. The overall length of this rifle, when the paratroopers, the German paratroopers, were looking for a rifle for their troops, one of the requirements was that it had to be as short or shorter than this rifle, but it had to fire the same cartridge, and it had to fire semi-automatic, and it had to fire fully automatic. And that was quite the feat in World War II. I mean, even today, it would be quite the feat to get that type of functionality of an 8mm out of a weapon that would be shorter and as light as this. And so, let me set this bad boy aside here really quick and pick up the FG42. Now the FG42 is very interesting. If you take a look at it next to the carbiner, you'll see that it's actually shorter. So the rifle is shorter than the carbine, so it met that requirement. It was capable of fully automatic and semi-automatic fire. But what I think is really interesting about this particular firearm is you'll notice where the pistol grip is. Look where the ejection port is. It's right above the shooter's hand. What were the Germans doing? They were shortening the action of the weapon, moving the operating components rearward, trying to shorten the overall length. They were pioneering what we call a bullpup. If I pick up the Tavor, here's the pistol grip. It's moved even further forward, and we've moved the ejection port into the stock essentially. So this would be the full evolution of the concept of the bullpup, but that's where the Germans were going with this. And they accomplished it with a cartridge that's even bigger than .308, basically the same size as a 30-06, okay? And it was capable of semi-automatic and fully automatic fire. On top of that, it had an integrated bipod and an integrated bayonet that gave it full infantry rifle capabilities. As we talked about in the opening of the video, we have the paratrooper sights that would fold away so they could jump. But if they had in their kit an optic, they could clip the optic onto the quick detach mount on the top. This weapon had it all. And by today's standards, any modern company would be hard-pressed to produce something like this today and make it work as well as the Germans did. Now, keep in mind, this one operates very similarly to the original. The original would have fired from a closed bolt position and semi-automatic, from an open bolt position and fully automatic. And this one is 100% USA made and is not an original gun. So, but with that being said, it has an adjustable gas system, so you can adjust it to the ammunition that you're going to use and things like that. I'm gonna go ahead and put the bayonet back away. It seems like the bayonet was more or less a formality because of its really, really short size there. And a lot of people mistake this as the gas system when they see the bipod legs folded down. I featured a Swiss sniper rifle on the channel last year, and one of the things I pointed out was the muzzle device. If you take a look at the muzzle device on the FG42, you'll notice it looks very similar to the ZFK55, and that's because the Swiss borrowed that design because it's a very effective muzzle brake. When you're firing this thing in full auto, it would have been extremely controllable because, again, the Germans had mastered the concept of a muzzle brake. They had mastered the concept of semi-automatic and fully automatic fire, and they had rolled so many different weapon systems into a lightweight rifle that could be used by a paratrooper. And again, that's why I'm absolutely blown away by it. It uses a 20-round magazine. And how the Germans got this thing to work was, of course, they moved the action rearward, but because it wasn't fully rear of the pistol grip like a modern day bullpup, they couldn't put the magazine underneath it, so they put it on the side. A common theme in the era. The Sten gun, for example, that the Brits used a magazine that went in from the side. The Bren gun, that was a light machine gun, used a magazine that went in on the top. They were experimenting with different places to use the magazine before ultimately the bullpup evolved and they were able to put it behind the pistol grip itself. So to load the weapon, you would take the magazine, insert it into the magazine well, locks in place. Your charging handle is right there. Pull this to the rear. Actually, I gotta. All right, I chambered around. The safety on the weapon is right here. So it rotates up to safe and down to fire. All right, I'm gonna shoot that way. You may wanna come over there or over there. It does have a huge brass deflector on it. And again, I'm warning Jason about the muzzle blast on this bad boy because let's go ahead and do a little bit of shooting with it. All right, I'll scoot you away here. All right, locks open. And guys, shooting this as compared to a bolt action with 8mm is, there's just no recoil. There's a heck of a muzzle flash, I can see that through the sights, but the recoil is non-existent. This thing on full auto would be insanely controllable, which goes back to my belief that what the Germans had accomplished with this thing was stunning with the technology that they had at the time.
All right, not even joking, I don't know how to load this thing.
Let me show you how to load it, okay? So we don't have a stripper clip here. This is a stripper clip guide. You can take 5 rounds, just push them straight in, close the action, and you're off to the races. So we're gonna manually load the gun. So you just lay 1 round in, push it down, and it holds 5 rounds in internal magazine.
Wait, is this the California compliant model? Why does it only hold 5 rounds?
Well, believe it or not, Dianne Feinstein was actually alive and well and an active politician in Nazi Germany. A lot of people don't know that.
Okay,
so,
gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway, next thing is to go ahead and load her up, put her on safe. Oh, yeah, and this is fire. Okay. On safe, and shoot it.
All right, let's give it a shot. It's on fire. Did I switch that all the way over enough?
I think you're good to go. It's going to go boom.
All right, and this is 8mm, so that's 1 less than 9mm. So
One less,
this should be like no recoil.
None. It's a very, it's like a 22 long rifle.
Oh my God, this optic is terrible.
It's not that
This
bad.
is not
Both
that
eyes
bad.
open.
Okay, both eyes open.
And shoot it again.
See, that felt like more like 8mm was more powerful than 9mm.
8mm Magnum.
I can't believe that. All right, let's give it another shot.
Hit her again.
Wait, hold on here. See, old guns. See, it's broken. It jammed. You know, I just pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. See, I rest my case.
Let me show you something. This is really cool. This is an awesome feature. Hold that right there. Watch this thumb.
What's so awesome about that? It's
insanely reliable. It's a Mauser action. 2 world wars, man.
Oh my gosh. Let's produce our 1911s now. Stopping power. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'm liking this a little bit better than I thought I would. Not gonna lie.
Yeah.
This optic really is terrible though, too.
The Germans thought it was awful too. Try push that bolt home, see what happens. See? So the weapon tells you that it's empty.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So it's like, uh-oh.
If only modern guns did that.
ARs don't. So you said you don't like the optic. You know what's kind of cool about that is neither did the Germans, but that is where it all started in terms of, you know, setting an optic for like on a scout rifle that became a thing for a while, but also in the DMR realm, which we see in modern militaries. So while that wasn't, you know, the best idea at the time or the best produced, you know, optic, you can see where it all started, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it makes sense as a concept. The execution, kind of crappy. I'm not going to lie, though. I really, this was kind of cooler than I expected it to be.
I love
I'm not going to say you're turning me.
You're not going to race out and buy one.
Yeah. I'm definitely not going to buy one. But this is actually pretty cool.
I'm glad you liked it, man. Let's try out that FG42 and see what you think of that.
Oh yeah. Okay.
All right, guys, here's the moment of truth, the FG42. So this is one of my personal favorites. It's never appeared here on the channel before, but this is definitely one of my favorite historical pieces. So I'm ready for you to shoot it, and I really want to hear what your honest opinion is of this rifle.
And before I do that, I want to say it's not ugly. It's certainly not ugly. I'm not a huge wood guy.
Yeah.
I mean, does Magpul, do they make like something with M-lock? Is this M-lock up here?
That's early M-lock. See, guys, he just noticed something else you may not have noticed, but this is early M-lock.
Oh,
not just joking.
For a second, I thought you were being like they really.
I finally got you.
Yeah.
No, it's
you
not.
did get me.
It's just ventilation, man.
Okay.
There you go. Let her go.
Did I do
That's
it?
Yep. And just check the status of the select lever. Should be down. Yep. You're on fire.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, just standard peep sights. Now, what do you think of that?
That was actually pretty cool.
Isn't that freaking cool?
That was actually pretty cool. It's like shooting like a 45 versus something snappy like a 380.
Okay.
You know, it's more power and it's like a shove. You know, it's like rather than like a snap.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's not like somebody punching in the shoulder.
Right.
It's like somebody giving you a push.
Exactly. It's like a push, but you know you're sending a lot of power downrange.
Yeah.
Like that was actually a lot cooler than I expected.
I love seeing that smile.
Yeah.
See, guys, that's the reason I love bringing folks out and let them shoot some of the historical pieces, because that smile it's almost like you're discovering guns for the first time because you're trying something different you've not tried before.
Yeah. I'm still never going to own this.
No, I don't. I get that.
But this was definitely better than I expected, and I got to say the furniture it's comfy. I mean,
so here's something that's kind of cool. So you see where your hand's right here?
Yeah.
You see how the wood's cut?
Yeah.
If we rotate that towards the camera, see how he's holding that? There's a reason for that. Right back here, you see right there? You see what that is?
The piston.
The gas piston.
Yeah.
Right, so it's venting air here. So here's your adjustable gas piston up here, and then the bolt's coming back, and that's your piston right there. So these cuts in the wood are protecting you from those venting hot gases.
And it's like your early Costa almost. You know?
Yeah, you can C-clamp that sucker like a madman.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty cool. Thanks, Tim.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad you came out and shot it.
That was, man,
Is that cool or what, man?
Yeah. it feels pretty good. I mean, it is just like a shove, you know, like a gentle shove.
And when you're shooting an 8mm, right? So that's what I was getting at when I'm talking about the Germans and the technology and the evolution of it. Imagine this thing where you have to flip a switch and it goes from semi-automatic to brrr. Do you think that would be controllable in full auto based on your experience?
I mean, when was this actually used? Like in the 40s?
Yeah, it was. So this FG42, the nomenclature says, basically 1942. So it had been developed in the early 40s and it was in use by 42.
Because you can see how it would be ahead of its time.
Yep.
Back then, like way ahead of its time.
One other thing that'd be interesting to point out is, so you have the vertical pistol grip on this. So this is what, I don't know, it has an official designation, but I called it Type 2. The original had a very swept back, like the FS2000 bullpup.
Yeah.
How it has that really exaggerated grip angle.
Yeah.
The original had that same exaggerated grip angle because with that magazine on the left-hand side, they could get really low in the prone
Gotcha.
and shoot over barricades and stuff, but they found it to be less than desirable. So this would be a second type that had the more vertical grip, which I find to be more appealing.
It's almost like a revolver grip. It looks like it came off an N frame or
It
a
does,
K
doesn't
frame.
it?
Yeah.
I never even noticed that, but you're absolutely right. It does look like it came off a Smith.
Actually usable magazine release. Sorry, I keep
No, it
accidentally
doesn't.
driving.
No, it's perfectly normal because it's
Okay.
locking on the follower in the magazine.
Sure, yeah, just like
so it's an old style bolt hold.
Yeah, like a Yugo magazine.
Exactly.
Yeah, a Yugo K-Mag. But yeah, it's not hard to insert. It's not hard to remove. Not bad. I could see how this was definitely ahead of its time back in the day. It's serviceable.
Well, James, what's your honest opinion, man? Do you see a little bit of interest now?
Yeah,
in the old weapons?
Again, I get it. I get everybody's into the heritage, the tradition, the history. I get that. Am I going to go out and buy one of those? Buy an old gun? Am I an old gun convert now? Absolutely not. Do I have a newfound respect now that and I really appreciate you taking the time. I said I was going to keep an open mind. I came up here on my own dime.
Yep.
Came up here to hang out with you just to do this. So I've got a newfound respect. I understand where you're coming from. I'm still a big Tavor guy, or like I'm still a modern firearms guy. But maybe I won't be as mean about old guns as I have in the past. So I mean, really, and I mean that. Like it means a lot. I really appreciate you taking the time. And you just spending time with you, looking at your collection. You guys haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg. Like Tim and I have been talking all day, looking through. He's been showing me old stuff that he has, and it really has given me a new perspective.
That's awesome to hear, man. I'm so glad you did come up because I really wanted to have the opportunity to show it to you and the old guns to you and give you an opportunity to shoot some stuff and look at the collection and see what was available. And ultimately, I picked this bad boy because it's never been on video before, but I also think it's pretty much the pinnacle of the Second World War, history in terms of firearms design, right up there with the FG42 is right up there with the STG-44. I'm sure you know what that is.
Yes,
Everybody knows what that is.
Everybody knows, even I do, yeah.
So this would have predated that, and I thought it'd be kind of cool, and I don't have an STG-44.
I mean, I think, whether old guns, new guns, I think we can all agree that shooting guns just kicks ass. I mean,
it does.
Yeah.
It does. And I tell you what, man, what I thought was really, really cool was that legitimate grin on your face after you shot these things. And you're like, I was surprised you liked the bolt action, to be honest with you. I thought shooting that would be like, let me shoot the FG42, but you...
No, I mean, I genuinely thought, it felt like kind of like delivering a punch, like it was part of, when you shoot a semi-automatic, you have that delay, you have that shove that's associated with whatever the operating system is, right? You've got that buffer. But when you're shooting that bolt action, especially one like that, made for military purposes, it feels like, you're really standing behind it and like delivering a punch. It was kind of cool, like kind of organic. I don't know how to say it, but it was kind of neat. So
it's very manly.
Yeah. But I mean, look, am I going to go out and like blast one of those all day in the range? Absolutely not. You know, but it wasn't what I expected.
I'm glad to hear that, man. I'm very, very glad you came up, man.
Yeah,
I love
me
spending
too.
time, and hopefully we'll be able to get together again. Maybe I'll come down and visit you and show you what your latest and greatest doodad is, and I'll probably love it anyway.
Oh, come on. I mean, look, everything I have, I've probably seen you review on the channel. So to you, it might not be interesting. It's what I love, but again, guns are great. Guns kick ass. Shooting kicks ass. I love it. So thanks for having me, Tim.
No, man, thank you for coming up, especially on your own dime. Guys, if you'd like to support us here at the Military Arms Channel, the best way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. We do have a link down below. Follow that link, check out some of the tier levels, and consider directly supporting us. We take no money from the industry. Also, you may not know this, but we are Twitch gamers. So if you'd like to follow us, did you know that? Did you know we Twitch?
What a nerd.
I've been a gamer my entire life. There's a link down below, guys. Check us out at Twitch. If you're a Patreon supporter, you can send us a message. I'll confirm you're a Patreon. We'll actually do a live stream with you. You can join us and play some games and have a good time. Also, swing by and check us out at Copper Custom, and that's coppercustom.com. Guys, thanks for 11 years of support, and we'll talk to you soon.